Hello everyone, this is Abha Verma. Today I will explain you the chapter Bhakti Sufi traditions of class 12th history. Before beginning the chapter, it is necessary to understand the sources which give us a lot of information about the topic. This topic deals with the 8th to 18th century. So the sources are stupas, monasteries, temples, textual traditions like Puranas, statues of saints. Stupas, monasteries, and temples are the structures which give us the information regarding the religion like Buddhism and Hinduism. Puranas are also another important text which was composed during this period, and you can see the statues of saints. This is the statue of Mani Kavachkar. He was a devotee of Shiv of 12th century. New textual sources were written according to the people, especially ordinary people. They use the normal language, so these composed in the easy Sanskrit. Hagiographies and biographies of saints were also written by the followers. This is also an important source. A mosaic of religious beliefs and practices. Mosaic means a picture made by the small pieces, making together, keeping together. The most important characteristic of this period was the visibility of the variety of gods and goddesses through the sculpture. It is evident through the sculptures of Vishnu and Shiv and goddess Shak. Shak in the form of Lakshmi and Parvati. It was painted with the ochre. It was a stone painted with ochre color, sindoor. The integration of curds. Integration of curds means mixing together or mingling of the greater trend and the little trend. Greater trend means what was the belief and customs what were practiced by the Brahmins, and lesser the little tradition was which was practiced by the local tribe or local people. There are some examples. For example, the worship of God is often simply in the form of a stone smeared with ochre, as I told you, and similarly, the tantric practice was also widespread in the several parts of subcontinents. Tantric practice means in Buddhism religion, tantric ideas were integrated into Vajrayana Buddhism, where male bodhisattva not only started having spouses, but they received honor similarly to that of Shakti. It is clear in the picture given in your book of Marichi. The goddess Marichi of Bihar shows the effect or the reflection of this cult or the mingling. This is a picture of Jagannath Puri. These are the icons or idols of Jagannath, Subhadra, and Balram. Balram and Subhadra are the siblings of Krishna, the incarnation of Vishnu. So, worshipping Vishnu is the greater system, greater belief, greater tradition. And the local tradition was making these idols onto the wood. The neem wood was used in making these idols, and a particular clan, particular tribe makes these idols regularly. One more thing, you can see the eyes of the circular eyes of the Krishna or the siblings, and but there is a conspicuous absence of ears, hands, and legs. There is a story behind this making of idol. You can read, you can get the through the text, some other text. This is the neem stem. Neem was perhaps used because it is a property of non-decaying in the long run. Similarly, it was pasted with sandal wood Again, it is having the medicinal properties. This is Rath Yatra of Jagannath of three deities. In this Rath Yatra, the deities are brought from the Garbhagriha of the main temple to the Gudich temple. They rest for some time in Gudich temple and then brought back to the Garbhagriha main temple. There is a difference between Vedic and Puranic ideology. Vedic period consists of two phases, Rig Vedic phases and later Vedic phase, and the god and goddesses of these phases were prominently Agni, Indra, and Som. They lost their existence in the Puranic ideology, Puranic period, and along with tantric practices came into existence. Emergence of Vishnu and Shiv is the most important characteristic of the Puranic ideology. The followers of these deities, they considered Shiv and Vishnu as supreme God. Alvars and Nainars, they were the followers of Shiv and Vishnu. For example, Alvars were the followers of Vishnu. They composed songs, poems, especially in the Tamil area. Alvar and Nainar are the followers of Shiv and Vishnu, and they started Bhakti movement in the Tamil area, and from Tamil area it moved up to the northern part of India. Nainars were the followers of Shiv. Some compositions are very famous and very important in the Tamil language, and this is known as Nainar Nalaira Divya Prabandham. It is known as the Tamil Veda. There were some women worshipper also. For example, Andal. Andal was a woman saint who followed the Vishnu. She expressed her love into the form of songs in favor of the deity, in love of deity. Karakkalamyar was another devotee of Shiv who adopted the path of extreme asceticism in order to attain support of Alvars and Nainars or her goal. These composed the songs and compositions and the literature and opposed the patriarchal norms that was prevailing in the society. Tamil Bhakti saints sought royal patronage because both of them, Bhakti saints and the rulers, dependent each other. Why? Because rulers wanted legitimation and the saints also wanted charity, land, donation, so they were dependent on each other. Rulers also won the support of Nainars and Alvars, as I explained you right now. Among these rulers, Cholas, Pandyas, and Pallavas were the main rulers, main dynasties. This is the picture of Alvar saint. This is the Andal, worshipper of Vishnu, and Karaikal Ammayar. There is a temple devoted to Karaikal Ammayar also, and that is in Puducherry. It has a beautiful architecture. You can visit it. The Veer-Shaiva tradition is another tradition that prevailed in Karnataka in 12th century. It was led by Baswanna. Baswanna was a Brahmin, and the followers of Baswanna were known as Lingayats because they followed Shiv. They worshipped Shiv in the form of ling, and that ling was kept into the silver case onto the left shoulder through a string. That is why they are known Lingayats. They criticized the social norms made by Brahmins. They belong to different castes and classes. They were including untouchables. These were the followers among those who were marginalized. There was a religious ferment in North India also. For example, Rajputas emerged in Rajasthan. The Turks the Turks started to come into the in India, and they established the Delhi Sultanate in to protect themselves from the effect of the rulers, from the effect of the Islamic people, Turks. The Rajput class emerged in Rajasthan. There was another community, Nath, Jogi, and Siddhas. Naths also uh, uh, artisanal class. Jogis was also community of the artisanal group, and the Jogi community. Jogi surname is used by the migrants who came from southern India. Siddhas also belong to artisanal group. There was another thread in the fabric of society of India, and that was known as Islamic tradition. New stands in the fabric Islamic tradition. As you know, Islam culture came to India around 711 or 8th century. They landed on the western coast. They established their ports on the western coast of India. Islamic people started coming as the general Muhammad Qasim conquered Sindh. This was not a religion that time, it was a culture only. And this culture started mingling with the Hinduism in India. Assimilation of the cults of these two cultures, Hinduism and Muslims. For example, Arab Muslim traders who settled in Kerala adopted the local language, that is Malayalam. Second thing, the complex blend of universal faith with local traditions is best exemplified in the architecture of mosque. You will see in the next slides that there were different kinds of mosque. The Musalman word was not used because it was not a religion. Turkish people or the people of Persia were known as Tajik people or the Parsi people, respectively. Sometimes terms used for the other peoples also applied to the new migrants. So the people who came to India were known as according to their region, not of their caste or the religion. This is the picture of mosque with shikhar in Kerala. You can see there is a shikhar. Otherwise, you see generally the dome on the roof of the mosque. This is mingling. This is the assimilation of the cultures, features of architectures. Another mosque, Atia Mosque, that was made of bamboo, thatch roofed, and it was transformed into the bricks. It was made in the 17th century during the period of Mughals, especially the reign of Jahangir. This is a jewel in the crown. This is the Shah Hamdan Mosque in Srinagar, and it is known the best piece of the architecture, and it is also known as Khanqah Mosque. It is situated in the right bank of the river Jhelum. It was built in 1395 by Shah Sikandar to commemorate the visit of Mir Sayyid Ali Hamdani, and he is better known as Shah Hamdan. Thank you. Next topic would be taken in the next video.